So I edit this real quick, guys. Alright, just pop this off. Alright, so I'm just doing some market review today, guys. Tonight. Hope everybody had an amazing trading week thus far, and that everybody was able to gain some stuff out of the markets this week. We did have a lot of crazy moves, a lot of movement, really, especially coming with the interest rates decisions that we did have come. So yeah, it was really nice. We really got a great couple of trades out of those movements. So if you're here joining me tonight, um, thank you. And yeah, let's just go through the chart reviews. Looking at past trades that was taken, what could have been done better. Just really going through some of the setups, what we could have seen in hindsight, and stuff like that. And as well as looking at another couple trades that we could possibly take. I am actually looking at a couple trades right now, this being one of them. CAT CHF actually looking for this to be maintained and a continuation lower. So yeah, this is something that I'm actually in right now, and also a GBP JPY buy to the upside, right? So these are two trades I am actually in right now, looking for those potential movements. And yeah, hopefully, these trades play out. It's during the Asian London session that I'm really looking to see the most movements from these trades against, not trying to get any interference from the New York session, the volatility and volume that comes with that. So really looking to see price move pretty nicely during these two sessions right here. Okay. Let's take a couple. Let's see what's going on in the charts right now. Just sign in. I don't know why my Forex, my FX book is like this. Like, come on, I signed in once, keep me signed in. Why can't you guys do this for a site that's used by so many? It's just irritating. Yeah, so today we did have a couple of news. We had CPI for the Swiss franc. We also had talks from our RBA representative, right? We also had the interest rate decision, which came out as expected, but we didn't get it moved that you would expect with interest rates going up for a currency, right? Price actually pushed even further down. We didn't even get a spike up or anything like that, which was just insane. Anything else? Oh, we have for RBA statement, monetary policy coming out in an hour and 5 minutes. I'll probably stick around until then to see what sort of movements we could possibly get from that. I'm kind of bearish on the AD right now, so I think we might probably get a sell opportunity on that. Maybe we might be able to see the sell continuation. Yeah, that's something that's you could look forward to right here. Price actually driving further down into this level. I think that has a lot of possibility to actually play out, especially since we do have this one bearish candle here, just signifying how much bearish pressure we do have. I think there's a more of a likelihood to see that continuation rather than price just push up, right? And the catalyst being that RBA statement, right? So we could see what happens throughout that period. And tomorrow we do have a lot more news events coming up too. ECB speech, Employment news for the CAD and NFP. Bad numbers for NFP, expecting lower than the previous numbers. Sorry. So we could probably see price just tank to the lower side on the US dollar as well. Just looking at these setups. Actually gonna go back to this week. So from the starting of the week, we have quite a couple of setups that we took, right? So right around here, NCD, USD. This was one of the first trades I took. Just take this off. When the first trade sent this NCD USD buy, I can see the levels here for the stop loss as well as the take profit. And I'll tell you in a minute what I was expecting on this trade, right? So I'm gonna just go back here. I need to believe it was somewhere around this area. Had that long position. I just want to put in the correct levels. Right, entry 57,957. The stop loss level. Those are the most important things, right? Stop loss level and your entry level. 57,803. And this was the trade. This was the trade setup I was actually looking for. Sorry. Right. And earlier on, what I expected from price was actually this maintenance of this supportive zone. Alright, so I was expecting the supportive zone to actually hold and kind of maintain that area for a continuation moving up, as we did get a previous break of that level, right? So at this point, the NZD was a lot more bullish and the US dollar was experiencing some sort of weakness. So I was trying to, try to profit off of that play out. And price did actually move up. We did get a solid 4-hour rejection from that level as price pulled into it. However, at that point, I did get stopped out. So in hindsight, maybe I could have waited until price actually came even lower into this level, right around here where I noted where price action, came into, and then we get that bullish candle pushed up. I could have re-entered somewhere right around here, but the added risk is something that I didn't want at the point of time. So I opted to stay out of this trade and not retake an entry. But it played out pretty good. So in hindsight, I guess, let me just delete a few things. In hindsight, I guess could have just waited for price to come back into that level, retouch into the lower zones of this support zone that we did have, and then wait for confirmations for that bullish pressure to continue, as represented by this candle push to the upside. So in hindsight, that could have been something that would have been noteworthy as a confluence for continuations. So this was the first trade that we took, and I guess the first mistake made just because they didn't wait for that confluence overall for price to actually continue moving up. Right, I can see it just right here. Price actually rejected at that point, was expecting that continuation, but it even pulled further back down and then maintained the area and push higher up. So that's something that I guess we could have waited for, but at the point in time, actually looked like it was just played out. It looked like it would have played out perfectly at the point in time, right? So price came, pushed, and then we got that pushed up. So this was the first trade. Could have waited for that confluence. Actually, let me just open up my Word document. And this is how I take my trades and everything. I did have I believe I did have one at a point in time. I'm not seeing it yet, so I'm just gonna make a new one. All right, so I'm gonna take the first link, and this is something I'm gonna start doing more often. I was doing it before, but I did stop. However, right, and it's something I want to continue doing moving forward. This is something I'm noting for myself with the first trade I did took that NCD USD that resulted in a loss. Right, one is time in the entries trade example. That is the one that we use up here. Right, price came within that lower levels, the lower levels of the support zone and area. Right, we did come in back into those lower levels. Price rejected. Could have waited to see that bullish candle formation or that bullish indication that price would have continued, and then re-enter the trade at that point for that continuation. So that was my first mistake there. And something that I need to work on as well, especially with how current market conditions are. I think yeah, that's worthwhile taking note or paying attention to. Sorry, paying attention to get better possible trade setups. Right. Sometimes you have to have patience, and I think that's what everybody struggles with as a trader. Having the patience to see the setup or the play out. Just as yeah. just need to have that patience, really. So this was the first loss that resulted. That could have been a win, right? Overall, we did get the overall fundamentals, the overall direction good, correct. However, the entry could have needed some work. Another trade setup. And GBP sells. That's right around this area here, the cells that we took at that point of time. So I don't actually have to retake this. Sorry, as I left it. This resulted in a win overall. This resulted in a win overall, so that's this trade was good. This trade, the point in time of exit in this trade, I believe it was somewhere around. Just take a look. Allow the trade to run. It reached around 2%. So I'm just gonna call it. Let's say everybody took it around 2%. So I'm just gonna put also 1 to 2. Risk to reward. Let me just show you guys the example, case example, right? So overall, for the fundamentals, we did have a weaker GBP for the starting of the week, right? We do have a lot of information, a lot of things happening with the UK, such as the constant switch between PM and stuff like that. We also had information or news release again on vote cuts. I do believe, right, with the interest rates, we did have food hike, food cuts, food change, unchange, and stuff like that, and MPC meeting minutes, right? So we did have some other stuff and the monetary policy report as well with the GBP interest rate decision. So all of that actually played a factor. And before that, last week as well, we did have some GBP weakness, right? So all of that translated as price pulled back into this major zone on a daily time frame, right? Was looking for an actual rejection from that level and continuation lower, which is what we got here. So as price made its push into this zone right here, we saw the bearish candle formations, this bearish candle push from that area, right? Basically taken away from the efforts made by these three candle pushes into that zone. Price continued with that little downward movement. We got a candle push down back into the major zone, and then at that point was looking for the bears to step in and see a continuation, right? So the fundamentals both aligned with the technical analysis of seeing price do a continuation move to the downside, given that the bearing pressure actually stepped into the market, right? And just something to take note to as well. price actually made that continuation. We got multiple retests and multiple entries on this to continue down, even one right around this area, right? I just deleted it to clear up the charts a little bit. Let me just take a look at the other trades that we have running here. Nice, nice thus far. We do have the CAD CHF and the GBP JPY looking pretty neatly. Nice, so entries were taken off. So this was the second trade here, the GBP CHF trade. Got the sells. We won that multiple times, so this is just the first one, right? I'm not gonna stick around to do every single one, but this will help give you guys a sort of insight of what I see when I trade, why I take certain trades when I do as well, if this is something that might be useful to you. Whether you're watching now or maybe you watch this later, hopefully you could get some information out of this, right? Looking at the continuations, right? So for GBP CHF, I do think that we could probably get a pullback into this area and then a continuation moving downwards. I do think that the price I do see a lot of pullback opportunities to continue with this lower trend. Right, so we could possibly pull back right here or even higher back into this level, right? And then that continuation moving down. Just for now, I'm not actually in any GBP CHF trades or anything like that. Just doesn't make sense trying to actually take a trade right now for that reversal pattern. So we'll just wait and see. But overall, it looks like we could possibly get a continuation once price respects these levels. Then sure. Other trade setups that we are looking at, 80 card was a really nice one actually. 80 card actually played out in our direction, but not before giving us a little slips, right? This was the GBP CHF sell stops. We're still around 2% for that continuation movement. Got stopped out of the 80 card due to spreads, right? I went and I re-entered the trade. As you can see, I stipulated that. Yeah, I'm not going to re-enter the trade at the moment, as we do have interest rates coming up at 11:30 p.m. So price can possibly rally before falling. Right, that's something that we paid attention to. You can see here the GBP CHF, we managed to take profits from around 3%, I do believe, on this. as price came back down here too, and the second entry stuff got activated, continue moving downwards. That's the second trade that we see right around here. This was the JPY sells a 1.5% risk. Remove stops temporarily. You can see that I've stipulated why enter this trade. Overall, I was looking for a push past the current support level with the NY volume to help push price lower. The GBP has been weak since the trading week has begun compared to the yen stability, which is why I chose to enter this trade. Ideally, would like to see a strong bearish candle close for the continuations, and that is what we end up getting in this move. Let's just pull up that chart real quick here on JPY. Okay, so I actually have to re-enter those values, right? And we've seen that the JPY are actually taking off. CHF still dancing around the supportive level right here. Hopefully we could get a pullback on the CHF. The only thing is, when you're trading something like this, CHF and JPY, they tend to move in tandem with each other. So we may see the CHF, if the CHF does fall, then it's likely to see the JPY actually strengthen as well. So we could possibly get stopped out of this, but I am more hoping that this continues up. There's a probability that I see that this continues up, just because we still have those positive interest rates, so we should see a price continuation overall. But yeah, I'll be managing this rather tightly once price does continue moving some more. You know, put stops at break even, risk free, and continue on. Whatever happens. Same thing for this. If we actually break lower, then whatever happens, and we get those continuations. Maybe we get stopped at break even if price allows it. Right, but JPY, sorry. Alright, so the secondary trade that we did take around this area, let's just pull it up on the chart. Let's take this out. And you guys can see we take quite a bit of trades in the VIP group, just because we do get a lot of setups with the trading plan that I use, my trading strategy. You do see a lot of setups, so this be really a matter of figuring which trade to enter, which trade to not, and so forth. So it was somewhere around this area right here, right? Let's just put those levels short, somewhere right here. The entry level was at 169.791. And my stop loss level at 170.290. Right, 170.290. So this was the trade. This was the trade here, right? That would have been a really lovely trade if we got those continuations actually. So yeah, we entered that right around here as price pulled into that zone. See, that would have been the candle closest to here. Sorry. Just so you guys could see that comparison, right? So we had the two levels here. Price came in somewhere around midnight. Around that time is where we're looking to see those trade continuations. Right, let me make sure I have these levels correct, right? Yeah, I do. All right, so we see that price continue moving forward right around this area here. Price came down, we came right into that area, then we rejected, price consolidated, but then we got those continuation movements, right? So this is something that I don't know, the market just does what it does sometimes, right? Because we continue with the overall movement. However, at this point we saw this weird little consolidation, right? And then that continuation move. So I'm not can't really put anything much for this, right? Just because this is something that the market does do at certain times. There's no way to really predict that something like this would happen, especially when you have clear levels, right? So this would have been a level right here for me. Once you got that push and down, that continuation, this push here looked like we would have gotten that continuation immediately and price has just gone down. But however, that is not the case, right? Price came back up, worked right into the zone. And this is the thing sometimes, right into the zone, guys. Like, look at that. Right into the zone, targeted. Like, if my stops was just right there, boom. But no, price came right into that stop loss. Hit it, say, now we're not going to continue any further. We're just going to go down. We just wanted to stop them all the trade and then continue. And that is what we had happening here, right? That's just part of the whole thing, right? That's just part of the whole thing. Not tripping about it. So I'll note this as one of the losses encountered. So I'm gonna note this as one of the losses encountered with GPJPY. Let's just note that trade here. Then the actual playout that we had. That's something I'm just gonna be doing all the time. I'm gonna start journaling heavily, right? Looking at things I could have possibly done better to help increase my own trading. As well as staying out of certain trades when you have to, understanding when to enter, when to do so forth. So yeah, that's basically what we have going on. I don't know why this resetted. This is a loser. So these are some stuff that could have been done better during that during the JP JPY trade. Sorry. So that's something I like to note actually. That could have been done better. Alright, so that's basically the only things that I see that could have potentially helped me with that trade. Yeah, probably. But essentially again we did have the market direction correct and everything. So it was just a matter of entering the trade. I didn't move no stop loss temporarily and we got those continuations, but hindsight could have done better with the stop loss in place. 80 card stops. This was one of the trades taken during interest rates for the 80, I believe. Also had some more JPY sells during the London sessions. As you can see, that's where price did that weird movement, right? And then we start seeing the continuation movements to the downside, which has been this right here, and then price continued moving. On this, like what you pip amount on this, guys, right? 428 pips completed, right? This is one hell of a move right here. So we did get those continuations. When price pulled back into that level right here, that was another one of the GBP winning trades. You can see right around here, I actually said, you could close it off here at 3%. We got entered, triggered into the trade, price continued moving downwards. Also here an 80k, this was a possible trade too. This, however, ended up failing, and I'll tell you a reason why. Right, we were trading within a zone, right? And zone trading could be tricky, right? It can be very tricky, zone trading, especially when you do have two fundamental, two currencies with basically the same fundamentals and same sort of sentiment behind them, in terms of both being risk currencies, more doing better when there's more economic growth and more surety in the economy. So we were trading within this range, right? And then price wicked up, right? This was during interest rates for the US dollar, right? But we're looking at this point right here. Price was in this range. We could have traded this range right here as price continued moving along. Looking here at the chart, at this point, this was between the second and third of the second and the third, right? So we're looking around at this zone right here. We're looking between these two areas, right? This is where price pushed up initially during the interest rate decision, and then we get those continuations moving down where we were able to profit on the entry point, and price continued that movement right here, right? So this was another good trade overall, and I'll tell you a reason why, right? So interest rates came out as expected, and some people were expecting, the banks, Goldman Sachs, whoever, expected like a 100 base point increase from the Fed. However, we got the 75 points increase, right? And markets didn't really like that too much. So we saw the dollar weaken temporarily, and during the Fed conference when Jerome Powell spoke, basically bolstered the dollar, right, or the strength or the expectancy for what we could see coming in the future for the dollar, and that really helped push price in favor of the US dollar, right? And that translated here, as you may know, when you do have USD news, it could affect the Canadian dollar as well on some of these cross-currency pairs, right? And so that helped bolster the Canadian dollar in terms of this year with the AD, USD as well. If you're looking at the more major currencies, right? That weakened the AD rather much because that US dollar strength was just so much more, had so much in play, right? So across the board, we saw the weakening of these other currencies paired with the US dollar, right? So we got that pullback here. We also saw that being reflected here. I think we just saw that reflected here as well. 80 JPY, that would have been like right this right here, right? This one candle right here, right? But price did reflect that, and we got those continuations moving down. So once we fill this zone, right, the bear pressures are there to stay. So we got that break right around here, enter the trade, left the stop loss, just whittle with it for a while, and then price continued moving that downwards. AD USD was the same thing. We entered somewhere around here, I believe, on this candle. And then price continued lower. So this was a nice trade setup as well for 80 USD. I think I noted that here. This was the GBP JPY cells as we continue moving along. So we take profits, the 80 card entry, 80 USD, right, the 80 USD sells. I was on my phone at the point in time, I wasn't by my laptop. I entered that trade and we got those plays to the downside, right? So we put the stop limits, sorry, the first trades got stopped out because price really pushed up, and then we entered some sell limits, some stop limits to the short side, sorry, right? And then we saw price continue moving downwards, right? This will bend that here, 80 CAD, filling it out nicely, and then sorry, and then 80 USD, right? So it was really nice. It was a really nice trade. 80 CAD, we got this continuation move and see downside again. And then, yeah, this would have been it right here. 80 CAD looking for the continuations. Even price came back here. We noted that that was a possibility. We entered another position, right? So you see, if still go for continuation lower, so I'll add a sell stop, and the level right now, if price decides to hit the stop loss at this point, right? So we added another sell opportunity here. We got that total play out, making back up from the losses. Right, 80 USD played out 5.4%. Real nice stuff, real nice stuff. So overall, we did have a lot of winning trades, right? We did run into one or two losers here and there. This being one here today with the GBP trade, right? This was during the interest rate decision. Was expecting price to pull up before it actually made the fall lower, and place a buy limit, right, at that point when price failed, but we didn't get those continuations, right? Took a long year, didn't get those continuations, price actually fell through. All right, so all of this 2% risk, we put the buy limit, price didn't actually hit it, right? Took another trade at this point. You can see that the buy limit didn't get hit, right? Took another trade even lower as price pulled back, because I was expecting the pullbacks to actually come up here and appear, right? So I was actually waiting to see that happen, but we didn't get that. This was the other trade that we took for that day itself, which was CAD buys, right? And I talked about this multiple times being a trade setup that we could get potentially on my other live stream videos, right? So if you were a part of that, you know what I'm speaking about, why we took this trade, right? But see here, I was looking to see the level being maintained and a possible push higher. Now, for now, 2% risk, manage the trades if you can handle the risk, then stay out of them. Then stay out of the trade. NFP is in highlight, so we are bound to see some way market moves happen leading to that, and that is true during time when we have LFP. We could see weird market movements, and that's just a part, just a part of the overall market dynamics, to be honest. Right, so price actually pushed up 2%, got 4% from that. We pushed all the way up to 4.5%, so around 9% profit from that. You can see that price continued pushing right in that same candle, and then we ended up hitting the total value of this trade, which was like around 4.55% for that trade, right? So that was really nice. And now we're on these two trades here, the CAD CHF and the GBP JPY buy. So hopefully this actually plays out. Yeah, so hopefully this actually does play out. We'll see what happens, right, guys? We take the trade, we have our possibilities, we have our probabilities of what to happen, what to expect. So yeah, just taking it in strides. Let's see what price actually manages to do on this. Continue moving forward. Yeah, these are the trade setups. These are what we have in play right now. This is what we're looking at. During the Asian sessions, we should see not too much volatility come out of the trade. Usually it is one of the more quietest sessions that there is. So we shouldn't see stuff like, when New York volume hits the market, you can see a lot of wick rejections, a lot of volatility, and price just moving haphazardly for a little bit. until it settles and we really do get, continuations in one direction. So it usually is a mellow trading session, especially if you're the person that, you want to take it kind of a laxed approach to trading. So you're like, your trading plan doesn't really account for the volatility and unexpected news events that may push price in certain directions. Then Asian sessions, early London sessions are probably the better trading sessions for you, right? I think it allows you to be more, let's say, less stressed, right? Psychologically, it has a lesser impact on your psychology when you trade in those two sessions, right? So just food for thought. You could try it for yourself, see how the charts move. Again, we are in Q4, right? So you can say that the charts aren't moving as you would expect, or as par as during spring, summer, or whatever the case may be, because businesses closing, it's around Christmas time. A lot of people are probably having a really dull Christmas, right? Just because COVID and recession fears and all of that. So that is something to pay attention to as well. And how this will translate into businesses when they reopen next year. I think we might see the DXY, not the DXY, sorry, some indices falling, right? We could probably see some indices falling, for sure, for more sure. So that is something that I think has a lot of potential to actually find good trade setups from, and just pay attention to overall. So yeah, I think that would be nice, like to get some sell opportunities on these indices like USDT, NAS 100, and so forth. But again, it all depends on what we're looking like coming to the ending of the year too. So we have 22 minutes remaining for this news event here for the AUD, sorry, the RBA statement on monetary policies. So I'm just gonna wait, right? Oh. Just gonna wait and see what price manages to do. Pulling back pretty lovely here. Let's see some continuations on some of these other movements. Yes, the NAS 100, all of these actually fell in favor of the US dollar. So you could possibly see a recovery from this, right? Price maintain that level and push higher. I think there's, possibly, we can see some continuities with that. So this, a good idea is to buy or long the NAS 100 USDT and so forth. I think so. In my opinion, I think so. I think you could long this, especially since it's in that area of significance. There's a high chance to see buyers step in and continue with the push upwards, filling out this zone, this larger zone that we have here. So I think that's a possibility, very well could happen. Relax trading. Let me just see if there's some of the trades that we actually got good stuff out of. Alright, this here is trade setups. They're pretty nice in the background if you're hearing that, guys. Alright, so I think this is all that we have going on. I'll pay attention to these. If you join this, then you got the trade ideas. You know what I'm looking at. You know what I'm expecting to see play out. So we'll take a relook at this in the morning and see what happens. But I think that's it for now, guys. So thank you for joining in on the stream here. Hopefully you learn a thing or two about how I see the markets, and maybe this could help you in the long run. So yeah, really appreciate that you got here, you viewed this, whether you're watching now or maybe you're gonna watch it later. If this video manages to reach you and you found it informative, then leave a like, subscribe, and also a comment if you have any suggestions as what you want to see on the channel, or any questions that you do have for me, right? So thank you guys, see you tomorrow during NFP. Peace.